I love this game, and also this is just a parody. Oh, who am I kidding? I don't love this game. Who would love this abomination? You guys really want me to send this? But it's so short. I dead set finished this in 3 hours, and that included dunny breaks and a sandwich. So for this video, I introduce a 3x multiplier. One for every hour it took me to finish the game. God, I love this job. The difficulty option in a 3-hour game with barely any combat seems a little superfluous.
Once upon a time,
Narration. Story events told through a storybook cliche.
there was a fearless young Lombax who gained fame and fortune by ridding the galaxy of Emperor Percival Tachyon and Captain Romulus Slag.
Ratchet already has fame as he's supposedly the last Lombax in existence, and he already has fortune because of his brief business stint with Stunderwear. Oh, brief. None of the pirates aboard would notice the ship flying past? No?
This is it, Talon. Darkwater has to be here somewhere.
James Arnold Taylor isn't being in a good Ratchet and Clank game in this scene. Somehow, between the end of Tools of Destruction and now, Ratchet's weapons have all lost 2 levels of experience. Also, somehow, Ratchet has lost potentially hundreds of points of nanotech since then. We interrupt this video game to bring you Wind Waker.
Sweet eye of a Zony!
See, there's a whole bunch of people who know about the Zony. Suddenly, Ratchet's behavior in Tools of Destruction seems all the more selfish. The camera, the cutscene camera, the one that the devs planted the path for, clips straight through some rocks.
Skip to the part about the curse!
Whoa! Spoiler alert! We haven't even gotten to Hildefar Island!
The game avoids spoilers by straight up telling you the spoiler instead, which saves your asshole friend who spoils everything the trouble.
Are you okay? You swallowed an awful lot of water.
He managed to survive while simply floating in the ocean? What is this, Final Fantasy X? Oh, considering Ratchet and Tidus are both voiced by James Arnold Taylor, that explains a lot.
Rusty Pete tricked us.
Hey, he sent us here for a reason.
Foreshadowing.
But if you help us repair it, I'm sure you'd be able to contact your friend.
And now time for meaningless errands. What is this, Skyrim? Okay, but hear me out here. Generally speaking, I do not like Quest for Booty nearly as much as any of the other mainline Ratchet and Clank games. But these platforming challenges were a lot of fun, and it was nice to see a bit more of a focus on exploration and platforming compared to, well, pretty much any game after the original.
Well, yeah, the curse of the undead. Although I'm not exactly sure how you can be undead. I suppose it just means alive.
This guy would be good at gaming sins. Senor Plot Convenience strikes again! Or in this case, Senor Plot Stopper. Suddenly, Ratchet can swim fast without the use of Clank's Hydro Pack. These wind turbines seem unnecessarily difficult to access. They're guarded by a platforming section that requires grav boots or grind boots, followed by a bulk crank to which the necessary tool to activate is owned by the universe's only Lombax. Insomniac probably shouldn't have hired a literal river system to voice Darkwater. It adds nothing to the role.
What? Can a pirate who's never told the truth in his life go blatantly out of his way to help the Lombax who killed his best friend and captain?
More foreshadowing.
Ta-da! I call it slag on a stick.
I call it the weirdest form of taxidermy I've ever seen.
This path is so dangerous, so forbidden, that only a recitation of the fabled Song of the Dead shall open the way.
Or literally any explosive weapon. Sure is convenient Ratchet lost all his guns, huh? These little green blobs are perfectly okay with being thrown about like a frying pan in a domestic abuse incident.
Pete? What was that?
No worries, mate. I was just, throwing shadow puppets.
Yeah, not from that angle you weren't. Big Scary Monster decides to bugger off after Ratchet solves a puzzle. Instead of slicing Ratchet in twine with that giant-ass sword, Slag just boots him over the edge and calls it a day.
Here's a little something to show that there's no hard feelings.
How convenient Rusty Pete was hanging on to those.
This be Captain Slag, Scourge of the Galaxy, and... Dirty backstabber, no good take a ride!
Slag and Darkwater have this history behind them, i.e. the one where Slag was planning a mutiny or whatever and managed to kill Darkwater, yet they're now suddenly working together. Sure, they're sharing the same body, but I wouldn't immediately make up with the guy who killed me just because his head is on my shoulders. Yeah, no shit, game.
Thanks, Ratchet. I knew you'd keep your promise.
That romantic tension between Ratchet and Talwyn ends up going nowhere, by the way. In fact, why is she even in this game? She contributes literally nothing of value. Hope you guys like these green filters. You'll be seeing them literally every time you enter combat from now on. For example, here, back on Hildefar Island, where you have to fight wave after wave of enemies while putting up with this green filter, not to mention there are 2 turret sections.
take these. They washed ashore this afternoon.
Oh, come on. And it turns out they were the Shock Ravager and Tornado Launcher, my two least favorite weapons from Tools of Destruction. I hope a tornado rips straight through my house. What the fuck kind of dialogue option is this? Did Quest for Booty suddenly adopt a morality system? Ratchet would never say that in this situation.
Well, this is your lucky day. See, this here's a map to Darkwater Cove. It's written in Decadroid, but I would be happy to act as your guide.
Senor Plot Convenience strikes again.
That star is my only hope of finding Clank.
Almost forgot Clank existed, to be honest.
How long you take these weapons? I just found them floating out near Hulafar Island.
And I am done. Darkwater set up all these security measures so no one would find his treasure. Except they're all a bunch of puzzles that can be solved by anybody because these pirate skulls are genuinely daft enough to not recognize that the small furry weasel before them is not a robot pirate. How to brew grog. You know, for kids. Ratchet forgot Ratchet and Clank 1 was a thing. Oh, come on. We got a curse word in Tools of Destruction. Are we just done with that? Why aren't we just here? This looks eerily familiar. Ledge climbing was barely used in previous games, so Insomniac decided to make up for it by making 80% of Quest for Booty ledge shimmying. Remember that boss that appeared like 4 times in Tools of Destruction that no one liked?
This is your last chance, Slag. Just hand over Talwyn and the star.
Has this ever worked for anyone? Yeah, you go, Talwyn. You get that floor. Doing a good job there. She's a bit slow. The final boss battle is kind of fun, but it doesn't really feel like a final boss battle if you catch my meaning. It's unremarkable. Organ swords.
After several lucky shots and a few cheat codes.
Pirates who play dirty aren't allowed to complain when their adversaries play dirty. I don't know what's going on with Nefarious's head here, but it scares me.
The end.
Rusty Pete is quite the artist. Either that, or he pulled a book telling the story of Ratchet's very recent adventure to Hulafar out of infinite bag space, both of which I question profoundly and unnecessarily. This is absolutely the worst nickname I've ever seen. There's not enough sins! Game is not about obtaining furry lap dances.
The Lombax destroyed the union between Captain Slag and Darkwater.
Aye, and good riddance. Going to the bathroom was far too awkward.
I shudder to even ask this, but how might a robot use the bathroom? After defeating Slag and Todd, Pete tells Ratchet that he's captain of the pirates now. Why in Quest for Booty must he then sneak onto the pirate ship and kill pirates to get what he's looking for? Couldn't he just ask them? He's their captain, for fuck's sake.
Alas, poor Captain. No one misses you but me.
Pete quickly moved on from Slag's death in Tools of Destruction due to the pirate code, but now here he suddenly begins to mope all about him and wanting to revive him despite the pirate code. Is it ironic that the book Rusty Pete was reading off to tell the tale of Ratchet's adventure has the same cover as Darkwater's journal with what looks to be Darkwater's face on the front? It's never explained how Clank contacted Ratchet after he washed up on the beach. Sure, it's played off as a saltwater trip, but it's so out of the blue and it's never brought up again? I don't know, this game is so hit and miss. Shouldn't Iris know that Darkwater is dead? This game happened because she didn't update her database. No challenge mode and no trophies, meaning no point in replaying the game whatsoever. How come the rogue space pirate never again uses his magnet arm? He could easily flog all Ratchet's weapons, or better yet, aim that suck cannon just a little lower and your pest problem is solved. It should be called Ratchet, Quest for Clank. This ending scene shows Talwyn leaving with Ratchet to go on the next adventure, but she's never seen in a crack in time and is only mentioned in a couple of throwaway lines. What a waste of a character, just got tossed aside like Angela and Sasha. And then they try to shoehorn a happy ending between her and Ratchet and Nexus and it just feels rushed. Man, I used to think these stories were great, but now I just find them to be in this weird area with other games like Kingdom Hearts, where the story can be entertaining if you're not taking it seriously, but if you do, then you realize the story just isn't very good at all. Now I'm fucking depressed. You know what? This is your fault. Delete your channel, you fucking tiny horned fungoid.
Haha, butts.
This path is so dangerous, so forbidden, that only a recitation of the fabled Song of the Dead shall open the way.
Every time that I log on to Minecraft.
Recently, I kinda stopped watching Let's Plays. I found that I simply liked watching scripted or more heavily edited content more than the Let's Play format. But then I was playing Breath of the Wild and running around randomly and I thought, you know, it might be nice to have something on in the background while I play. So I immediately turned to an old favorite of mine, GameFace Max. Then I got slightly confused because they got rid of the Max in GameFace Max and I was like, lol, what? I don't like change. But seriously, if you want one of those neato little couch co-op channels, GameFace has you sorted. One of the cool things they do is Pokemon Nuzlocke, but both Max and Lynn are playing at the same time. It's a lot of fun to watch, so go check them out. As usual, thanks for watching. Next up is a review of a cult classic, followed by everything wrong with a crack in time. If you want your sin in that video, remember to hit up the comments section with hashtag RatchetSins. Also, come join our Discord. I'm on there fairly often, so come hang out and talk about memes and music and Ratchet and Clank and games and shit. Link in the description. And with that, I am out. Audi 5000. Does anybody know that's not a real car?